What if you could replace the temperamental lavender in your garden with a lineup of perennials that not only smell amazing, but also thrive for decades, attract pollinators, and survive the toughest backyard conditions? What if you didn't have to keep rebuying plants that die after one season and instead built a fragrant landscape that works for you year after year? Here are 9 hardy perennials that prove this idea works better than lavender ever could. Number 9. Catmint, Nepeta faassenii. Catmint offers the silvery gray foliage that many gardeners chase after when they buy lavender, but it does far more than just look good. This low-maintenance plant forms a mound of soft, feathery leaves that can survive winter freezes, heavy clay, and humid summers that would rot lavender roots. In late spring, it sends up spikes of lavender-blue flowers, each one releasing a crisp, herbal scent that is sharper than mint, yet gentler than true lavender. The fragrance is subtle enough to line a front porch walkway without overwhelming passers-by, and it can be trimmed after the first bloom to trigger a second flush in late summer. By cutting the stems back by about half, not all the way to the ground, you encourage denser growth and a second blooming period, giving you 2 seasons of color and scent for the price of one plant. Catmint tolerates a wide range of soil types, from well-draining sandy loam to heavier, moisture-retentive clays. It prefers full sun to light shade and thrives in USDA zones 4 through 8. Once established, it needs only occasional watering during the first growing season. Thereafter, it can endure dry spells on its own. Beyond its ornamental value, catmint is a magnet for more than 30 native bee species, including the common eastern bumblebee Bombus impatiens. Those bees are key pollinators for nearby tomatoes, peppers, and blueberries, using a buzz pollination technique that shakes pollen loose from the flower's anthers. In addition, solitary bees of the genus Andrena frequently nest in the loose, well-drained soil that catmint helps to aerate, creating a microhabitat that boosts soil health. Gardeners who have paired catmint with nearby rosemary or thyme report a synergistic effect. The combined scent profile deters many common garden pests such as aphids and spider mites, while still remaining attractive to beneficial insects. Because catmint spreads slowly via rhizomes, it forms a tidy, mound-shaped ground cover that can be used to soften the edges of raised beds, fill gaps between stepping stones, or serve as a low-maintenance border in rock gardens. Its foliage retains a faint aroma even after the flowers fade, making it an excellent plant for sensory gardens designed for the visually impaired. Number 8. Russian sage, Salvia yangii, formerly Perovskia atroplicifolia. If you have a sunny, heat-reflected spot, say a driveway edge or a fence that bakes in the afternoon, Russian sage may be the only plant that will truly thrive there. Growing to 3 or 4 feet tall, it sports silvery, branching stems topped with airy clouds of violet-blue flowers that look like a distant lavender field from afar. When brushed, the foliage releases a sharp, resinous aroma that feels like a blend of sage and menthol, lingering on the fingers long after contact. Unlike lavender, Russian sage is practically a deer repellent. The aromatic oils in its stems and leaves are detected by deer before they even consider nibbling, steering them toward less palatable options. Planting a row of Russian sage along the perimeter of a garden creates a scented barrier that can protect more delicate plants behind it. This natural deterrent has been confirmed by wildlife biologists who observed a 70% reduction in deer browsing on adjacent vegetable plots when a 2-foot buffer of Russian sage was installed. Maintenance is minimal. Cut the plant back hard to about 6 inches in early spring before new growth appears, and you're done for the year. No deadheading or mid-season pruning required. The dramatic, woody stems also provide winter interest. Even after the foliage dies back, the sturdy branches retain their silvery sheen and serve as a backdrop for early-season snowdrops or ornamental grasses. Russian sage tolerates USDA zones 4 through 9, endures poor soils, drought, and even winter road salt better than most perennials. Its late summer flowers feed long-tongued bumblebees and carpenter bees when many other nectar sources have faded, extending the pollinator season in your yard. Studies from the University of Kansas show that Russian sage can increase local bumblebee colony health by up to 15% when planted in a mixed border with native asters and coneflowers. The plant also attracts beneficial predatory insects such as tachinid flies and lady beetles, which prey on aphids and caterpillars, providing a multi-layered pest management system without any chemical inputs. Number 7. Peony, Paeonia lactiflora. Peonies are the ultimate long-term investment. A single mature clump can outlive the gardener who planted it and continue to bloom for generations. Their large, fragrant blossoms, often the size of an open hand, appear in late spring and exude a warm, rose-like scent with a subtle citrus edge. The flowers are so heavy that the stems may bow under the weight after a rain, creating a graceful, cascading effect that looks intentional rather than wilted. The key to reliable peony performance is planting depth. The small pink buds, or eyes, on the root should sit just 1 to 2 inches below the soil surface. Planting deeper results in lush foliage but no flowers for several years, a mistake that frustrates many gardeners. Peonies thrive in USDA zones 3 through 8 and, once established, rarely need division. However, if you do divide a mature clump in early fall, each segment can produce a new, fully viable plant without any additional cost. Peonies are surprisingly adaptable. While they prefer well-drained loam, they tolerate moderate clay if amended with coarse sand or compost. They also appreciate a sunny to partially shaded position, especially in hotter southern zones where a few afternoon hours of shade protect the buds from scorching. A well-placed peony can serve as a natural focal point in a formal garden bed, a backdrop for low-lying perennials such as hostas, or even as a centerpiece in a container garden on a patio. Ecologically, peonies are early-season pollinator powerhouses. Their open pollen structures provide essential nutrition for bumblebee queens emerging from winter dormancy before most wildflowers have opened. By planting peonies, you supply a critical food source at a time when few alternatives exist, supporting bee populations that will later pollinate a wide variety of crops and garden plants. In addition, the large, cup-shaped blossoms attract hoverflies, whose larvae are voracious aphid eaters, adding another layer of biological control to the garden ecosystem. Number 6. Bee Balm, Monarda didyma. Bee balm is the secret weapon for attracting hummingbirds without installing a feeder. Its tubular, spiky blossoms in shades of scarlet, rose, and violet perfectly match the curvature of a ruby-throated hummingbird's bill, encouraging these birds to feed directly from the flower. The plant's scent is bright, citrusy, and warm, reminiscent of the bergamot note in Earl Grey tea, because the same aromatic compounds are present in both. You can even brew a light tea from the leaves, adding a garden-grown flavor to your morning routine. Just be sure to steep only a few leaves, as the plant contains thymol that can be irritating in large doses. Hardy in USDA zones 3 through 9, bee balm spreads via shallow rhizomes, forming a dense clump in 2 to 3 seasons. Choose mildew-resistant varieties if you live in humid regions, as older cultivars can suffer powdery mildew in the summer. The plant supports a diverse pollinator suite: monarch butterflies, tiger swallowtails, and more than a dozen native bumblebee species rely on its nectar throughout the bloom period. Bee balm also serves as a larval host for the black swallowtail butterfly, whose caterpillars feed on the foliage before pupating. Because bee balm prefers a moist, humus-rich soil, it can be paired with companion plants that enjoy similar conditions, such as astilbe, ferns, and Japanese forest grass. This creates a layered, shade-tolerant border that stays vibrant from early summer through early fall. Gardeners who have installed bee balm along a sunny wildlife corridor report a measurable increase in hummingbird visitation, up to 30% more birds observed within a 50-meter radius, compared with corridors lacking the plant. Number 5. Mountain Mint, Pycnanthemum muticum. Mountain mint defies the usual rule that fragrant plants need dry, sunny conditions to keep their scent strong. Its leaves emit a sharp, clean spearmint aroma with a cool, green edge that is crisper than peppermint and lighter than culinary mint. Remarkably, the fragrance is present in the foliage itself, not just the flowers, so the plant smells wonderful from the first warm day in spring until the first hard frost in fall, whether or not it is in bloom. A single mature clump of mountain mint can host over 40 different insect species on a single afternoon, ranging from bees and wasps to beetles and butterflies. Researchers rank it among the most insect-active native flowering plants in eastern North America. This intense pollinator activity benefits nearby vegetable gardens, fruit trees, and ornamental shrubs, turning a modest border into an ecological hotspot. In fact, a study conducted by the University of Tennessee documented a 45% increase in predatory wasp populations in plots adjacent to mountain mint, leading to a corresponding drop in cabbage moth damage on nearby kale beds. Mountain mint thrives in USDA zones 4 through 8, spreading aggressively via rhizomes. It prefers full sun to partial shade and average to moist soil, but it cannot tolerate bone-dry conditions throughout the season. Its dense growth habit also suppresses weeds, reducing the need for mulching in the areas it colonizes. Because the plant spreads by underground stems, gardeners should install a root barrier if they wish to keep it confined to a designated border. Culinary enthusiasts prize mountain mint leaves for their bright flavor in salads, teas, and marinades. The leaves can be frozen or dried for later use, retaining most of their aromatic oils when stored in airtight containers. Additionally, the plant's essential oil has been studied for its antimicrobial properties. Laboratory tests show that extracts inhibit the growth of common foodborne pathogens such as Listeria monocytogenes, suggesting a possible role in natural food preservation. Number 4. Anise hyssop, Agastache funiculum. Anise hyssop is built for the hot, humid summers that often doom lavender. Its tall, spiky flower spikes rise 2 to 4 feet, displaying shades of purple, coral, and deep magenta that retain color even under scorching July sun. The plant's scent is a complex blend of warm anise, licorice, and a clean herbal sharpness that lingers on the skin long after you brush past it. When you crush a leaf, the fragrance intensifies, offering a scent stronger than the bloom itself. Hardy in USDA zones 4 through 9, Anise hyssop prefers full sun and lean, well-drained soil. Rich, heavily amended soil actually weakens the stems, causing them to flop after storms. The plant's aromatic oils attract hummingbirds, which will feed directly from the flowers, often eliminating the need for artificial feeders. In addition, specialist native bees in the Osmia and Halictus genera depend on Anise hyssop's mint family flowers for reproduction, making it a crucial resource for solitary bee populations. Anise hyssop also plays a role in soil health. Its deep taproot penetrates compacted subsoil, improving aeration and water infiltration for neighboring plants. When interplanted with low-maintained grasses, the hyssop's root system reduces soil erosion on sloped sites, a benefit documented in erosion control trials in the Pacific Northwest. The plant's stems, once harvested, can be used to make fragrant sachets that repel moths and moth larvae from stored textiles. Its dried flowers have been used historically by Native American tribes as a ceremonial incense, prized for the uplifting, slightly sweet aroma that is said to clear the mind. Modern gardeners sometimes incorporate Anise hyssop into pollinator pathways that connect fragmented habitats because the plant's long bloom period, midsummer to early fall, bridges gaps between early-season plants like columbine and late-season asters. Number 3. Garden phlox, Phlox paniculata. Garden phlox saves its most enchanting fragrance for the evening, releasing a honeyed, vanilla-like scent that can travel 30 feet or more on a still summer night. The plant's large, dome-shaped flower clusters range from deep magenta to soft lilac and pure white, each floret featuring a contrasting eye at the center. As dusk falls, the colors deepen rather than fade, giving the plant an almost luminous quality against the twilight sky. A single stem placed in a narrow vase can scent an entire room for up to a week, offering a natural, free alternative to candles. Garden phlox is hardy in USDA zones 4 through 8 and blooms mid to late summer, filling the seasonal gap between early spring peonies and fall asters. Choose mildew-resistant cultivars and water at the base of the plant to keep foliage dry, especially in humid climates. The primary pollinators are sphinx moths, whose long proboscises can reach the deep nectar that many other insects cannot access, ensuring that phlox provides crucial nighttime nourishment for these elegant pollinators. Beyond moths, garden phlox also supports a suite of daytime visitors. large butterflies such as the monarch and the orange sulfur, as well as hoverflies that patrol the flowers for aphids. In a study conducted by the University of Minnesota, plots with a dense planting of phlox showed a 22% increase in overall butterfly abundance compared with control plots lacking phlox. The plant's robust root system also helps stabilize garden beds on sloping terrain, reducing runoff and preventing soil loss during heavy rain events. Garden phlox can be used in a variety of design contexts. Its tall, upright habit makes it ideal for the back of perennial borders, while its clump-forming growth habit works well in cottage-style wildflower meadows when mixed with ornamental grasses and low-lying ground covers. For a formal touch, prune the stems to a uniform height and arrange the blooms in a symmetrical pattern, creating a striking visual anchor that draws the eye from any viewpoint. Number 2. Sweet woodruff. Galium odoratum. Sweet woodruff is the quiet underdog that transforms dramatically once harvested. While it grows, the plant's tiny white star-shaped flowers sit above low, bright green whorled foliage, emitting only a faint green forest floor scent that most gardeners overlook. The magic happens when the leaves are cut and allowed to dry. A natural compound called coumarin activates, turning the fragrance into warm vanilla layered over fresh-cut hay. Historically, this scent was prized for perfuming linens, mattresses, and wardrobes long before synthetic vanilla existed. Hardy in USDA zones 4 through 8, sweet woodruff is one of the few truly fragrant plants that thrives in full shade, even in dry understory conditions beneath mature trees. It spreads by rhizomes into a dense weed suppression carpet only 6 to 8 inches tall, requiring virtually no maintenance once established. By planting sweet woodruff in a neglected shady corner, you turn a barren spot into a fragrant, low-maintenance ground cover that also provides a subtle, natural scent for indoor use. Beyond its decorative appeal, sweet woodruff has a long ethnobotanical history. In medieval Europe, it was used in midsummer festivals as a garnish for sweet wines, and in traditional German medicine, it was employed as a mild diuretic and to treat urinary tract infections. Modern phytochemical analysis confirms that coumarin possesses mild anticoagulant properties, though the concentration in fresh leaves is low enough to be safe for occasional culinary use. In the garden, sweet woodruff creates a microhabitat for beneficial insects. Its low, mat-like growth offers shelter for ground-dwelling beetles, while the tiny flowers provide pollen for tiny solitary bees such as Lasioglossum species. Because it tolerates deep shade, sweet woodruff can be paired with ferns, hostas, and shade-loving astilbes to produce a layered, texturally rich planting scheme that remains attractive throughout the growing season. Number 1. Santolina. Santolina chamaici, lavender cotton. Santolina delivers the silvery, drought-tolerant mound that many gardeners expect from lavender, but it actually lives up to the promise. The plant's fine, feathery foliage reflects excess solar radiation, keeping the leaves cool, while microscopic hairs reduce moisture loss, allowing it to flourish in hot, dry sites where lavender often falters. In midsummer, bright yellow button flowers rise on slender stems, giving the plant an architectural, almost sculptural appearance, perfect for edging walkways or front border displays. The scent of Santolina is a sharp, resinous blend of rosemary and chamomile with a dry, woody note that intensifies under full summer heat. The plant thrives in USDA zones 6 through 9, prefers sharply draining soil enriched with grit or sand, and should be kept away from heavy fertilization. Too much richness encourages sprawling growth that destroys the compact mound shape. By placing Santolina in the most neglected, sun-baked part of your yard, you create a resilient, low-maintenance feature that also adds a subtle fragrance and visual interest year after year. Santolina's foliage is also a valuable resource for the culinary world. Young leaves, when finely chopped, add a citrus-lime flavor to salads, fish dishes, and Mediterranean-style sauces. In Italy, the plant is known as cotone di lavanda and is traditionally used to flavor olive oil and cheese, providing a natural preservative quality thanks to its antimicrobial essential oils. Ecologically, Santolina serves as an important nectar source for late-season pollinators. Its late summer to early fall bloom coincides with the flight period of the painted lady butterfly, Vanessa cardui, and the solitary bee megachile rotundata, both of which rely on the plant's abundant pollen when other sources have dwindled. Moreover, the plant's dense, low-lying growth creates a protective refuge for ground-nesting bees, reducing predation risk from birds and mammals. Landscapers often use Santolina in rock garden designs because its compact habit and drought tolerance allow it to thrive among stones, gravel, and even reclaimed slate. When combined with drought-tolerant succulents such as sedum, autumn joy, and ornamental grasses like Pennisetum rubrum, Santolina contributes to a xeriscape that conserves water while providing seasonal interest, from silvery foliage in early summer to bright yellow blossoms in midsummer, followed by a graceful brown seed head that persists into winter. These 9 resilient perennials answer the original question. They replace lavender with plants that survive tougher conditions, perfume your garden longer, and support pollinators throughout the growing season. Which of these alternatives will you try first in your own backyard? Let us know the climate zone you live in and which plant you're most excited to plant, and watch your garden transform into a fragrant, thriving oasis.